live. Talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about something good.
Yeah, with all the stuff that's going on, there's a lot that we could talk about.
Hey, everybody, we're here. I don't know if anybody's here yet, but we're here and we're live. This is Impromptu. Thank you for coming to Impromptu to watch us if you are here. Uh, so you've been preaching. I saw your title, Love is in the Air.
Release love in the air. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, releasing love in the air. So tell me what angle are you going at it from when you teach that?
Well, on this Sunday, pretty much again because of what's all going on during this time of the year, the holidays and stuff like that. There are expectations. There's a certain spirit that we always experience during this time of the year, but of course, because of the challenges that we have been facing, or the world has been facing since the time of the pandemic, there has been a major shift in people's mental and emotional states. There's been shifts once again
Mhm.
on how we are treating one another. Again, on yesterday there was another mass gun shooting at the College of University of UNLV campus, which is in Las Vegas. So another mass gun shooting, and so watching and seeing all the things that's happening with our government and with racism, a lot of things are at an all-time high. I myself is getting many calls from married couples who's going through a lot of different challenges, and so it seemed like a lot of people have not been able to reset their lives after
Mhm.
the pandemic.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
again, because of the holiday season, I'm just encouraging everyone to realize that um, in times like these, especially when there are so many, again, family members are transitioning. I'm getting a lot of phone calls concerning that. And so it's a
Mhm.
strange occurrence that's happening this time of the year. And so I'm encouraging everyone, again, let's go ahead and fulfill what Jesus came. One of the main messages he came preaching was to love.
Yeah.
And so again, as we stated last week, we have to realize that love is beyond an emotional feeling. We have to go beyond our feelings, our emotions, and we just have to make
Mhm.
the choice, make the decision just to release love
Mhm.
to everybody. And so I think even as I was preaching on last night, I felt this healing presence,
Okay.
this healing presence, and so I just began to declare and decree to the people that was part of the virtual audience that if we create an atmosphere and an environment where we are just choosing to love one another, and again, you came up with a very awesome text on last week, Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 to 48, and I pretty much used that on this week along with St. John chapter 13, verses 34 and 35, which he said, I give a new commandment I give you, that you love one another, and so forth. And so pretty much that is the thing. Is if anything needs to be revived during this time and this season is love,
What the
compassion.
world needs now. Yes, it's what the world needs now. Love,
Exactly.
sweet love. Yeah.
And
Uh,
so that text you gave when Jesus made the statement, he said, now you have heard it be said that, love those that love you and hate your enemies. But then he turned around and said, but I say unto you,
mhm.
love your enemies as well. And
Mhm.
so I shared a lot and I broke that down again, how when we came through the pandemic, there was a disconnect because of the isolation. And so many people are kind of in this perplexed place in their emotions, where they do not know how to become sensitive to one another again. So we are being desensitized after the pandemic. And so the
Yeah.
conversation came up with another spiritual leader I was talking to on this week, that he said there's just so much that is going on, and a lot of people have not reset or been able to restore their lives after the pandemic.
Yeah. Now it's interesting you brought up that scripture that we that I mentioned last time, and that scripture says, "Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." And we've always taken that out of context, because just before he says that, he talks about God allows the sun shine on the just and the unjust. The rain comes on the good, the bad, what the ugly. So I mean, it's God's love has no criteria.
Exactly.
It has no, there are no qualifications that have to be met.
Hmm.
God's love doesn't give you a checklist of what you have to meet up to in order to receive or have that response.
Hmm.
So when he says to be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect, he's talking about that kind of love with mankind.
Hmm.
And loving your neighbor as yourself is not loving your neighbor like you love your like it is yourself, or is it like it is yourself, or is it the same as you love yourself?
Exactly.
So there's he's breaking down what love really is, and it doesn't have to have, like you said, an ooey gooey feeling. It most times doesn't.
Hmm.
But I do know this: you can tell when it's there. You can tell when someone has it or is it, because they will sacrifice.
Exactly.
They'll sacrifice what will benefit them to make the other have what they need. And that's where you know, because like he said, no greater love than anyone has than the man lays down his life
For his
for
friend.
his friend. So it's about the love to the point of sacrifice. And I don't think a lot of us, and some of us are already walking in it and don't realize it, because we're sacrificing for people we love. The thing is, we tend to sacrifice only for the ones that are in our circle.
And that's what Jesus said in that text. It's easy for us to love someone that loves us. All right.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
easy for
mhm.
us to salute or greet someone that salutes and greet us. And he said, what is the reward in that? There
Yes,
is no reward in that.
yes,
And so the
mhm,
challenge is we got to love those that seem to be unlovable.
yes,
And
yes,
it's just a
yes.
decision that you make.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I realized this, that when we have those challenges, when someone is really unlovable or really nasty, uh, that's really my test
Hmm.
to find out if I am going to choose to walk in my real nature, my true nature, which is love, or am I going to allow myself to become nasty because they are nasty?
Exactly. That's why he said, bless those that curse you. That's
Because
what he
nasty,
said.
nasty rubs off on nasty. I tell
That's
you.
right. Do good unto
Yeah,
those that despitefully use you. That's what he said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it triggers, nasty triggers things in the egotistical mind and
Mhm,
causes us to act out nasty just like we see nasty. So
mhm.
the 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 thing about love, unconditional love, is in order to really walk in that nature, it really takes an alertness, because when something triggers you and you feel yourself acting out and not in a loving manner, or not feeling any compassion for that person that's nasty, then
Mhm.
you know that if you're alert, you can catch it. If you're not alert, then you'll find yourself pulled right into the same kind of energy that that person has.
Now, I love that you mentioned that word energy because now dealing with the first part of your statement, we got to remember First Peter 4, verse 8. At the end of that verse, it says, love covers a multitude of sins. And so when I'm walking in that unconditional love, which means I love without any stipulations whatsoever. Matter of fact, scripture says that there is no rule or law towards love. All right. So
Mhm,
when I'm loving someone in spite of their flaws, in spite of their impediments, in spite of their shortcomings, if something
mhm,
shall arise where this person is being persecuted, being talked about, being ridiculed, then I should be one that will literally cover them by concealing them. And so that's what people don't understand. When you're loving someone, there is a concealment that no one gets to the opportunity to hear or to see their flaws and their impediments. You mentioned energy. Now, that is the thing that really I started researching on this week. And the first thing that came to mind was dealing with a house, how a house that is unoccupied would decay and deteriorate quicker than a house that is lived in. And
Mm-hmm.
so I began to meditate on that, and it's obvious because everything actually comes from the same source. We emit a life force, an
We do.
energy, once
Yes.
again, that gives life unto other things that we are around or we are connected to. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we come to that place of awareness and that place of enlightenment, we understand that when we talk about spirit, when we talk about energy, it is a life force that revives other things around us.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wanted to add, and based on what Linda said, Linda's actually thought about it before I said it. I'm about to say it. She says, in is loving one's enemies recognizing our own oneness. It's hard as a human to force a loving feeling, but our true self is love. Yes, and I was about to say we are love walking when she put that comment in. Thank you, Linda, for that. Uh, and recognizing my oneness. Now that's I'm coming to a point, and I don't know how to even say this in the journey that I'm on right now spiritually. I'm kind of tired of the romantic language,
Mhm,
and I want the practicality of
mhm.
how to walk this out. I know I must I I need to recognize my oneness, but what does that mean practically?
That's
That's where I am. Now I'm not saying it's what she's saying is wrong. No, not at all. I agree wholeheartedly, but I don't think we know what recognizing our oneness truly means.
we don't know what it looks like.
But I do know this: we are love walking, we are life living.
Hmm.
I do know that. So it's kind of like I'm supposed to just be here and know that these things are what I am and moving or emitting from me when, and I don't have to be conscious of it all the time. I'm also a little worn out with religious language,
Hmm.
spiritual language, a little worn out with those phrases and terms we've overused to the
Hmm.
point that we don't really stop to think about what we're saying
Exactly.
and what it actually means. And so
Exactly.
thank you, Linda, for that comment. You triggered
Mhm.
something in me when you said that. She said this too: loving another like yourself is because they are
It's
essentially you. Yeah.
exactly, exactly, and that's good. When you said that, I thought about the comments, the calls, the words of encouragement that I received from the message that I preached on Tuesday on this past Sunday. I came from the topic, the love lesson, and from it, and I was just we had I'm gonna say we had fun with, and when I say we, I wanted to create an atmosphere where there is much interaction between myself and the congregants. I don't want to go back to me preaching at the people. You see what I'm saying? I want them to interact. And so I made it so very welcoming, so very lively, where we were laughing. We People started, speaking out certain things. I
You
was
made it real.
huh?
You made it real.
Exactly.
You made it real. It wasn't a performance. It wasn't a show. You made it real, real life. And I
Mhm,
think that's what I'm trying to say, that all of these things need to become real life for us.
mhm. We got to stop trying to be so deep and just it becomes practical to us. It becomes second nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. That we know spiritually and religiously in the language needs to become practical in our lives because otherwise it doesn't mean anything. It's just accumulated knowledge.
exactly. There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we got to get to that place of revelation. And I love what was said earlier with Linda and what you stated, because I also said that on last night and in the service on Sunday. I said, now we have to remember, if we are the express image of God, if we're one with God, and it is said that God is love, then guess what? You are love as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so something has deceived you out of you knowing or you becoming aware that it should not be hard for you to love because you are that.
Yes. Yes. Now, when we say to love, and you said hard to love is an action.
Mm-hmm.
So, what am I as a human being supposed to feel to love?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a ooey gooey feeling. We do know that. So, I don't have to feel any different than I feel right now to love, to be love in action.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't have to feel affectionate towards somebody that's unloving.
Exactly.
That's the first thing. I don't have to like them. I don't have to like them and want to be friends and close to. I don't have to do that to be love in action.
Exactly.
Because if what I do toward them is for their good, that is love.
Mm-hmm. Something that you are emitting that they will
Mhm,
benefit from. And
mhm,
and so I love how you said that, because when you said that, again, the Bible talks about being led by the Spirit. All right, those
mhm,
that are led by the Spirit are the sons of God, and
mhm.
and those that being led by the emotions. Again, if I'm being led by my emotions, then guess what? I'll feel like I don't love you. I
Exactly.
I'll become cold towards you, which means I am now unsensitive, and when I become unsensitive, I become selfish. And so
Mhm,
again, I won't make the next necessary sacrifice to admit the love that I am, so that you could benefit from it. So again, it's
mhm.
always about trying to elevate someone's I would have to say all three areas, the several areas, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual state, their conscious, always elevating them, always edifying them. And that's better yet, is adding value to somebody's life.
Yes, and I sum that up with one phrase: ease their pain. Just ease their pain. Um, without looking for any reciprocation, no need for notoriety. Just ease their pain. This morning when I was walking baby girl, most of you know who baby girl is, our dog. She, because she's aged now, she's got some physical issues, and she, yesterday was really hard for her, wasn't it, honey? She just didn't feel good, and we knew she didn't because she was doing different things that show you signs that she didn't feel good. She was still playing a little bit, still eating and all of that, but when she laid down to rest, we could tell she was uncomfortable and couldn't really get comfortable. So she made it through the night, did okay. I gave her a pill that helped her to sleep. She woke up this morning, and she's gotten to the point where she really doesn't want us separated.
Mhm.
So it's all about now in dog life, pack instinct. She wants the pack to stay together. And it's almost like she knows that if one is gone, they're gonna miss something that's happening to her. And
Mhm.
so and while I was walking with her this morning, I heard spirit say to me, or I heard my higher self say to my mind, don't try to make what's temporary be permanent. Don't try to make her permanent.
Mhm. That's good.
So I took a good look at what's been happening to her, and I realized it may not happen immediately. It may happen a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, who knows? But she is beginning her exit and her expiration
Mhm.
from this world because she's temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized at that moment that my suffering in looking at her is trying to keep her permanent. So love says, let her go.
Oh.
Love does not cling. That
Mm-hmm.
clingy thing that we call love, that's not love. That's not love. Love releases.
Mm-hmm.
You said it.
Mm-hmm.
Love releases and lets go. It never clings. It never grasps. It never gropes. It's a
Mm-hmm.
freeing energy. And
Yes.
so I free her to exit whenever she's ready. And in the meantime, what I do is all I have to do is ease her pain
Mm-hmm.
if I can. So it freed me to be a loving nature. I don't have to fix her. So I'm not disturbed now. Whereas I was very disturbed yesterday. I'm not disturbed now.
Mm-hmm.
So being love or acting from my love nature frees me as well as it frees the other. I hope that makes sense to somebody. I
That
hope.
makes a whole lot of sense because as you was talking, and I think that's what causes a lot of people to go through these seasons of suffering when a loved one transitions
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
they wanted to make that person permanent
mm-hmm,
in their lives rather than realizing no, love is willing to free them where they
mm-hmm.
don't have to fight so hard to fulfill the expectation or your
Yeah,
desire of
yeah.
having them there forever in your life. And so
And yeah, yeah, yeah.
oftentimes one of the greatest acts of love is to be willing to let someone go. And so when you
Yeah.
were saying that, for some reason I kept thinking about the parable of the prodigal son. The father
Yeah.
did the father did not try any force whatsoever to keep that son there, permanently
Mm-hmm,
there.
mm-hmm,
The son
mm-hmm.
said, "Look, I want all that is due unto me." And the father gave it to him and let
Let
him.
it go.
He didn't hunt for him. He
Yeah.
didn't search for him, even though it may have caused some physical or emotional pain to the
Mm-hmm.
father. He loved them enough to allow
Let it
son
go.
to take his journey. And
And
when
not only that, Pastor Norman, he was able to. He allowed. He even dropped the judgment against him for misusing his money.
exactly, exactly. And remember when the son made the decision to come back after hitting rock bottom, as we would say, and end up
Mm-hmm.
falling in the mud with the pigs and stuff like that. He made a statement to himself. He said, "You know what? The servants at my father's house is living better than me." He said,
Yeah.
"But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna let my father know that I'm not even worthy to be considered his son."
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that is not the case. Like you said, no judgment. He did not judge him. He did not. There's no reference to him mentioning anything
Yeah.
concerning the journey, his
He
son's
didn't say,
past.
he didn't say
He
I told you.
and none of that. He said, "Hey, kill the fattest calf. We're gonna have a party because my son who was once dead."
And look, he didn't say you should have known better.
And none of that.
Now
None of
look what happened. Look what happened. You
this.
should. So he didn't bash his son, even though he
Exactly.
realized that was a foolish decision. He didn't.
Mhm.
Well, he did not have his the love nature is always receiving, never grasping, never clinging. Like I often say this about people wanting a hug. They want you to hug them not so much because they want to give a hug, but because they want to receive a hug.
Mhm.
So that's not love. When you asking people to hug you, that's not love.
Mhm. And
You're
and
not giving.
and you talking about the hug. See, that's that again. That makes me think about the life force. There is even without thought, and like I shared with the people last night. When you talk about saluting one another, if you salute those that only salute you, what's the reward? In that we are to salute everyone or greet
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
talk about how
yeah.
oftentimes, again, me being a pastor, spiritual leader, I've seen it so many times where great relationships fell apart within in the church, and I've watched people who normally would sit together. Now they'll walk right past one another and don't even say hello, good morning, no greeting whatsoever. And so they may not say, but there's something in them that's letting them know, okay, this is not you, this is not you, this should not be. And religion again has reinforced that kind of thought by again us using scripture to manipulate relationships and stuff. Like when we talk about, Genesis chapter 12 concerning Abram, when God said, leave from thy country and thy kindred, and I would show you a place that I want you to go. See, we want to use that to talk about people separating and dividing, and this is your new season, this is a new time. God gonna remove some people out of your life. He's gonna cut people out of your life, and all these different things. And
that's our doorbell. Sorry, I think it's probably the delivery. But yes,
and that should not be the case at all.
Lately, I've always been the kind of person that was as loud as the dog is. Hold on a second. Now,
all right.
I have to shut both of them out. What was I about to say? I've always been the kind of person in the neighborhood. I never get involved with other people's lives, my neighbors and all of that. I speak to them and cordially, but I've never wanted to get involved with them personally. And so for that reason, I think that I've probably avoided being around them a lot and excessively, or outside of the normal speaking, whatever. So what has happened to me since I'm know that this energy that I have always believed myself to be is now changed. All of a sudden, neighbors want to talk to me. They want to have conversations with me while I'm walking the dog. I mean, literal conversations where we just stop walking.
Wow.
And so it isn't something that I'm doing deliberately, but that energy that I've had all my life to be private. Oh my God. Has dissipated. So now everybody wants to befriend me. And it's not because they've changed, I've changed. So a lot of times we want people to like us. We want people to be friendly to us, but the energy that we have is what's causing it not to happen.
That's good. That's good. So when you said that, and that's so true. Again, because I'm getting all these calls, and that's what I said. It's amazing. I'm getting several calls from married couples who are wanting marriage counseling and so forth. And again, y'all know I love the whole concept of marriage and everything about it and so forth. But then the question is like what you just said. Why they are so attracted to me? Why is it that they want to talk to me?
Yes, at this particular time.
Yes, especially at this time. And again, that is something that I begin to think about concerning the energy. What type of energy am I emitting that is connecting with the energy in them, especially where there's something that they need? They are attracted, is pulling, the life force is pulling them to me, so that I would allow God himself as me to begin to minister to the point where there will be literal inner revival in them.
Yes. And so what's happening to me, like I said, we have literal conversations and actually have begun to form some kind of light-hearted friendship without effort. It's like the loving nature attracts. The loving nature, it embraces. The loving nature is never afraid of the personal space
Mm-hmm.
being violated.
Exactly.
Now, I say that with caution because we don't want to be foolish, but at the same time, there's no the closed bubble that we live in. It begins to drop. The walls begin to fall when you're walking in that loving nature. The walls begin to fall, and I found myself not just looking at them and seeing Christ in them, and then knowing that they are myself, as we always say, they are me. I'm looking back at myself. I'm actually beginning to feel affection for them,
Exactly.
almost like they're my family too. It's like now everybody's becoming my family.
Mm-hmm.
Not,
Exactly.
how we love our family members. That's family.
Uh-huh.
I'm beginning to feel that with strangers.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So I know the language, they're me, I'm looking at myself and all of this. But now I'm beginning to feel their family.
mhm,
The feeling is their family.
exactly.
Do I want to hurt family? No.
Mm.
So the energy is changing here. It's not them that's changing, it's changing here.
And it first has to begin with you. Like I mentioned, the golden rule. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But
Mhm.
see, a lot of us we want to switch that. We do others as they've done to us.
Oh my God.
Y'all
That's
got
Grand Central Station today.
hey, Santa Claus come to your house.
And I know who it is talking about the love nature.
uh,
That's my neighbor Jan, who's out there now blowing leaves for us.
oh wow.
Yeah, she's out there
Wow.
blowing leaves. So that's her ringing the doorbell. So
Wow.
that's what I mean. When this energy starts when you're walking as that love nature, the energy that we are begins to attract, and things start happening that you didn't even ask for. She comes
Hmm.
up here and blows leaves and cuts bushes and all of that. And
Hmm.
when we say thank you, she said, "No, thank you." She said, "This helps me."
Wow.
It helps her to be on our property doing this stuff for us.
Now see, so now you just entered the dimension of what we call the mystical. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
Her thanking you for allowing her to do your yard, rake the yard, blow the leaves or whatever. You're
hmm
saying thank you, but she said no, thank
hmm
you for allowing me. So now if we look deeper into that, that is God Himself. That's
yeah,
you understand. That is God Himself on both ends. When
yeah, yeah.
people are thanking you for allowing them to be a blessing unto you.
hmm
All
So I
right.
know, I know how Jesus got the coat that he had to ride on through the
Mm-hmm.
streets. They gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to ask for it.
That's
They
right.
just gave it to him. And so things like that are happening. And I'm like, okay, this is so strange. It's strange to us. This love nature, this love walk, this love atmosphere is strange to us.
Mm-hmm.
We're really not familiar with it at all. And so the other day she was here in the house. We talked to her just a little bit. And my husband started to say to her, he said, "You're an angel." She said, "Don't even start that." She don't even start that. She said, "You're helping me."
Wow. I'm getting that. We already said we ain't we gooey, but I'm feeling that to sensation right
I
now.
know, I know. It makes me love her. Okay, I know I love her because of the loving nature, but the affection for her now, she's like family. Not because she's doing something for me, but because she sees something that we haven't seen in ourselves.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so she's not asking for anything. She's not even asking to be my friend.
Wow. Wow. See,
It's amazing.
woo,
And so the
that
love
is awesome.
that little lady is love walking.
So we don't even we we may not even know her making that statement again, and we are familiar with Paul, who we accredit him for writing the book of Hebrews, that said, be careful how you entertain strangers, for you could be entertaining angels unaware. And
Mhm,
so
mhm,
we don't even know if her making the statement, because again, the angels came and ministered unto Jesus, especially
mhm,
when he had the situation in the Garden of Gethsemane, and
mhm,
so forth and so on. They came and they ministered unto him, they strengthened him, they encouraged him. And so with you guys walking in this place of awareness, enlightenment, sharing it, because again, whatever comes out of our mouths or whatever we emit, it has some type of effect on the
mhm,
whole
mhm,
entire
mhm.
universe.
It does. Now I got another example yesterday. I'm doing my laundry room, and I've stripped all the wood and painting it and all of that because it's this old orange stain, and so I hated it. So I'm redoing the laundry room, and so I'm trying to make a mud room out of the closet. Anyway, I've been caught up with doing that. So I went to Lowe's yesterday with baby girl. There's this lady, she saw baby girl and she said, oh, I just love her, and then find out that this lady has a dog sitting service. So she's really trying to advertise her dog sitting service and promote it to me. And I was thinking, well, she said, do you ever have to have a dog sitter? I said, well, I used to. I said, but I haven't done that lately. I said, but I'll take your card or whatever. So anyway, she ends up giving me her number. This lady, I could not get rid of her. She followed us in the store, just talking about her life and everything. And when we got ready to leave, she was walking behind me at the checkout. We checked out first, me and baby girl, and she was behind us and she was saying, bye, see you later. We went out to the car. I started getting in the car. She's parked directly in front of me, facing me. And she says, oh, let me help you put your stuff in the car. She comes over, puts wood and stuff in my car, all of this, takes my buggy, say, put it right here.
Wow.
I mean, it's like she couldn't help herself.
Mm. So
And
now,
I'm and look, when Linda said this, you don't have to like anyone. I was trying to get rid of her. I was trying to get rid of her, and I couldn't. I
mhm,
don't have to, you don't have to like them. They see the love nature in you when you're not. My mind was on getting my stuff, getting my laundry stuff, and getting baby girl back home because she had diarrhea yesterday morning. So I had nothing in my mind about love at all. Nothing about I'm going to be affectionate to this person. Nothing. It was totally being human at that moment. I
mhm.
could not get rid of this lady. And she was bent on helping me. I mean, all she wanted to do was just help me.
Wow. And
So
so
that's that love nature, that love energy.
people can sense it. I'm reminded of Romans chapter 12, verse 9, where it said, let love be without dissimulation, which
Mm-hmm,
means
mm-hmm,
no
mm-hmm.
false appearance, no hypocrisy
Yeah,
whatsoever. It
yeah,
is
yeah,
genuine. All
yeah,
right. It is
yes,
genuine. And
yes.
so, of course, what you guys experienced, and I thought about what you shared when dad, after he came out of his last surgery and stuff, he kept saying, love is in the air. Love is in the air.
Yep.
And so
That's
now
all he's
you
saying.
guys are experienced what he had sensed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All
And this, I have to say this to my husband, and he doesn't have wings or a halo. But
Oh, last time I was on the other side, I saw him.
okay, well, what do you do? But I
I
have
didn't
to
see him but one
but I
time.
have to give him credit. He constantly says, I appreciate you and I love you. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have you in my life. I don't know how I would be without you. He's constantly saying it in his own way, all his words. He's saying it every day. every day. And so it's like the love, like you said, love is in the air. When there's a love nature, it's not you don't have to coach it.
Exactly.
In other words, it's like we say, doing to others as you would have them doing to yourself. You don't have to try to do that when you're really walking in that love nature, because you just automatically do that.
Mhm.
And if you're not automatically doing that, you're just lost in the thoughts of some other energy that you're not walking to your as according to your true nature. But you're still that. You're still
Mhm.
that. Now I'm going to mention what Linda says here. She said the emotional energy you experience is what attracts life experience to you, good or bad. This was made clear to me in last night's dream. Oh, you had a good dream, honey
Oh,
bun.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Now you got all your business taken care of. Was that Jan?
Yeah, the lady.
Jan.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that was her.
Is she leaving?
Mhm,
Okay.
Yeah.
You okay?
mhm. That was
All right.
listening.
You might quiet. He's let me tell you what he's doing.
Uh-oh. I'm getting the camera now. What? There she go when
My
she do
my
that.
loving husband. Look, I love him. I love him. I love him. Listen, he pimps out his car.
It's cheap, not cheap.
He pimps out his seat here that he sits in when he gets on the computer. It's got bigger wheels. The Jeep's got bigger wheels.
Wow.
So now he's got a walker, right?
No. Dad picked up Walker.
You know that walker. That's what came in the
Up the Walker.
That was a Walker with big wheels on it.
a walker with big wheels. But you bought some new wheels.
I'm getting some big.
You can start a new show. Pimp out the Walker.
This man loves to pimp out anything that's got wheels.
If you understand why I'm doing that, you'll understand why my dog runs from the Walker that has got hard rubber tires on it, and she don't like the sound. I mean, it goes noisy all through the house.
So that's for baby girl.
No, it's not for baby girl. I get tired of hearing the noise too.
Wow.
You're funny. Look, nobody's criticizing. You okay?
No,
But
but
you said that, I'm gonna get some real big ones.
and going back and see, and it's funny. That's why I love you guys so much. Um, going back to what we say about love, let love be without dissimulation. Um, again, like with dad is I've seen the different stages and transformations of dad. Of course, you've seen them closer than I have, but like I said, like right now, he's on screen with his, Christmas hat that he made. It's unlike any other Christmas. He's being genuine. He's being his authentic self.
Yeah, I know.
You see what I'm saying? So this is not something that he's performing. When he's around people, he could go in a grocery store, not meet a stranger because he's being his authentic self. And so that's the whole concept of me talking about release love in the air. If you awaken to your authentic self, you would not have to work up nothing. I even sometimes I sit back and laugh at myself because my people always tell me my heart get me in trouble because they have seen where people have done certain things to me, and I still yet embrace them no matter what. All right. And so I have to laugh at myself sometimes because there are times when the human self, my emotions, I want to be angry. I don't want to talk. I ain't gonna say nothing, and I go right beyond all of that. And hey, how you doing? Hug, whatever, as if nothing has ever happened.
Yeah, you find yourself being that way.
Exactly.
Just being that way, not trying to do it, but just being. I wanted to go back to something I was saying about my neighbors and how I used to be more closed in about it. There was something that happened this summer past that really drove the nail in the coffin for that kind of thinking in me. My neighbor right directly across the street was having a fence put in. And while they were digging post holes for that fence, they hit a gas line. And you could literally see and hear, you could see the fog and hear the hiss coming out of the ground, to the point that it was filling her house, filling the air. She had to leave her house and take all her pets. She's got 2 cats and she's got a cat and 2 dogs. She had to leave her house, and the fireman had to take her out of the house so she wouldn't be overtaken by the gas fumes. And she had to come outside and sit on the side of a person's yard across the street in order to recover, because she was about to pass out. They were going to take her to the hospital, but she finally got to the place where she was coming around and okay, so she didn't want to go. She's a retired anesthesiologist, I think,
Oh, wow.
or radiologist, and or she lost her job. But anyway, while she's sitting there, we always nosy. We always want to know what's going on. And I saw this happening, and I saw all the people around her, and I thought, wonder what happened to her. And my first thought was, she's got enough help. She doesn't need me. But then I overrode that, and I went to see how she was. I went over there, and when I got there, I just sat down on the side of that bank with her and just started talking with her. She poured her whole life story out to me.
Wow.
And I sat with her until all of the firemen were gone. All of the fumes were out of her house. Nobody else was sitting on the side of the bank with her but me for hours. Baby was gone. I think he was in Greensboro. I sat with her until she completely recovered. And there was one fireman that stayed to help her. I was the one who had to help her get her pets back in the house with the cages. Nobody else was there.
Wow.
And it was then that I actually formed a bond with her. Now, are we BFFs? No, but it broke in me this wall that I've had. So there are things that will take place in your life that will move you out of your comfort zone. I found myself sitting with her all that time, and I thought, well, if I wasn't here, who would have done that? And she literally, her mother was going to come and get the dogs and the cat. And because I was sitting there with her on the bank, she told her mother, no, I'm taken care of.
Wow.
And so it really changed how I see myself, how I see her. So that's when this whole dropping of the wall started for me, really started for me. So I said that to say this. There are incidents that will take place in your life that will cause you to shift.
Exactly.
In the positive. It won't look like it is, but it will cause you to shift. And then your energy change. And when it changes, then you begin to see all of these other things that I was talking about just happening without me putting forth any effort. And it's like now everybody knows I'm open, so everybody wants to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it shows on my face. I don't know if it shows here. It's a sound in my voice. I don't know if I'm walking different. I don't know.
But see, in them, it's a knowing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In them, it's a knowing. They may not consciously be aware of, but subconsciously, they know and they sense your essence. They sense your nature that is attracting them to you. I mean, we've all had this happen to us where someone would just walk up to us and we don't even know them. They start talking to us and they'll say, for some reason, I was just attracted or I was compelled to come over here and talk to you because there was something about you. And
So
or you was in a grocery store pushing a cart.
yeah. So that we've said over and over and over is actually true. That we've said that says when you change, everybody around you changes. That is absolutely true. So when we look at others and we think they need to change, it's not them.
Exactly.
It's not them. It's something here in us that has not been rectified, has not been resolved, has not been has not been acknowledged.
Exactly.
That when that's changed, that's when people make changes. They change because, as Linda said, if we're actually seeing ourselves when we look at them, then we're looking at ourselves when they reflect back to us what we see.
And see, that gives a greater understanding when Jesus made a stand, we ought to love one another as we love ourselves. All right. It wasn't talking about how we treat them. In essence, he is basically saying, love them, you realizing that is you.
Yeah. Man, we've been talking a while. You gonna say anything today? No? Look, John Greason's on here. Hey, John Greason, you in the house. He said, you might as well put a motor in a seat on that walker.
I think some good motors on now.
John Greason better be careful because he showed up, he'll do it. He'll figure out a way to do it for real.
He's a manual person. He likes manual.
What
is baby girl barking at?
Talk to them.
It's the Grand Central Station today. Linda says, my new affirmation that came to me the other day, I'm made out of money. I am made out of money and money is made out of me. All right, girl, you turning green. Or turning plastic, one of them.
She just made me think what I used to tell people all the time. I can, no matter what I put on, for some reason, people always thinking I am, but for the sake
of you always dress nice. You always dress
we think
nice.
I'm wealthy and I'll spend all this large sums of money on my clothes and stuff like that. But I have to tell myself, it's not the clothes that make me, it's me that makes clothes.
Yeah, you always dress very nice.
I'm getting ready to take all my clothes to the Goodwill. I don't wear them anymore.
Well, hey, I'll be doing the same thing there.
I'm not in front of a live audience, in church, so I don't use them anymore. I probably some of them I can wear, some I can't. So I'm getting rid of all of them. I don't know what I'm gonna wear.
Well, even dealing with live audiences, that and I've noticed that with other local assemblies as well, that was actually changing the culture of their gatherings. But even with our church, because we have service at 9:00 in the morning now, and we are loving it, having service at 9. But when you getting up and having service that early in the morning, you're not thinking about putting on no suit and no tie and all of that. I mean, we come in a pair of jeans and a shirt or whatever. Look, I'll wear a sweatsuit if I want to.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's become real.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing.
Can I show you in the scripture what Jesus told some people who he really was? Okay, here it is. Jesus came to the coast of Caesarea Philippi and asked his disciples, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? Jesus said, some. Then they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, and some say Elias, and others Jeremiah, and one of the prophets. And he said unto them, but whom do you say that I am? Now down on the further part of that, in the 17th chapter, and they came down from the mountain and he charged them that they said unto on the transfiguration. That's the 9th verse in the 17th chapter. Tell the vision to no man. And his disciples asked him, saying, why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? Jesus answered and said, "This is what he told him. He said, Eli truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Eli is come. Eli has come already, and they knew him not. But have
That's good.
done, watch this, but they have done unto him whatsoever they list that likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. The disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. So when John the Baptist was baptizing them, he was telling them he was John the Baptist, baptizing himself. He was telling them that he was Eli
And John the Baptist
and
was
John the
Elijah.
Baptist,
It's
and he
Elijah.
was them.
Mhm.
And they didn't know who he. Now, who is he now? Who is he now?
Ah.
You know what? The human self has been entouraging that Jesus is not here and with us unless we confess and feel him and sense him.
Mm-hmm.
When you understand who you are, when one wakes up to their real self, you will see why Christians say you get the eternal life when you receive Jesus Christ as Savior. Who was he before they received Jesus Christ as Savior? He was them. He always been us. He's never been anybody but us. But the brick and mortar and the script, the scribes and the Pharisees say, you are not, Jesus is not in you. They won't say that he's us. No. He'll say, I got him. Yes. Now, when I met Jesus, I didn't know in person on earth that he was me. It took me a while to find out. The human self will never admit that it's him unless it's by revelation. And then it'll slip in and out. It'll be slip, slide in a way. Mm-hmm. So the key to this thing is, and you know what? I'm still dealing with our true identity working the miracles of God, because there are a lot of people that wake up, don't emphasize or say anything about the healing miracles taking place, and they claim that if this would take place, it's the ego doing this in the story. But they have to understand that if Jesus' real identity was one with the Father, he said it was the Father that was doing all these things.
Yeah, exactly. It goes back to what I said earlier. If love wants to do nothing but ease the pain, then even in the dream, even in the illusion, it wants to ease the pain.
So we haven't fully woken up every week until these things are done. Now there's
maybe we've awakened only to our true nature, but have not awakened to our true power.
Now that's good. That's good. That's good.
I haven't heard anybody in the Enlightenment Awakening group or the channels say anything about awakening to the point where the miraculous take place on a spontaneous basis.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. That is true. You don't hear them talk a lot about the demonstrations of miracles and signs.
The focus is on only the undoing of the ego mostly.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we must also come into an awakening and an acknowledgement of that ability that we have within us that can be used to ease people's pain.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people believe that when a dog gives birth to a puppy, that is dog conception and giving birth. Wait a minute. That ain't no different power than a body giving life to another one.
That's right, because it's a miraculous.
Who
told
them that they did that on their own? Ain't no such no own. It's a such thing as an off.
But we're seeing
because they turning everything off.
yeah, we're
That's
seeing
on.
we're seeing miracles all around us in nature all the time. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't we see that in our own lives?
And that's because the ego wants to major on the minor.
Mm-hmm.
You
That-
ain't never heard of a dog having a cat. You ain't never heard of a cat having a pig.
Mm-mm.
Then you heard of a monkey hanging up in a tree, and a monkey and possums hanging up in a tree. And some folks act just, I ain't gonna tell you the other part they look like, but they act just like monkeys. And that's a lie. Ain't no monkeys hanging up in a tree that look like humans.
Now listen, you getting stirred up right here when it's time to go. It's now
No, I
an
ain't stirred up.
hour.
I just said it. I'm quitting.
You
Miss
quit.
Linda, we thank you for your affirmation, and we thank you for all
I'm made out of money too.
the great, wonderful, the great statements that you're making. John Greason, we're gonna buy. I saw a boy come by the other day, had a lawnmower mower on a motor scooter. That joker was flying up and down the street. He said he bought it for $300 from a guy, and he put a lawnmower motor, a brand new motor. That thing was flying like 100 miles an hour up down the street. I went out there in the cold and asked him who he was. Oh, I knew who he was.
Yeah,
The
it's a
boy
little
across the
fella, little
street.
fella down the street.
He done took every part of his brand new
He
car
has
apart.
a car. He's always tinkering with it. Now he's got this go-kart. He's riding down
Oh,
the
he's
street.
something to
And
tell.
he's tall. He's almost 6 feet tall, and he's riding that go-kart.
Yeah, he's flying up and down the street with that thing.
He
Now,
has
you know
a-
what?
he has a
If
need
I
for-
had one,
That's
if I had
Corey.
one, I'd be out there with him.
yeah. Oh, I know you would. I know you would.
Listen, guys,
I put 2 lawnmower motors on.
we've been here over an hour. We don't want to hold you any longer. We love you. We thank you for coming in here today and watching and listening to us. I like that conversation we had.
You know why God is not seen as being us? He is meshed and interwoven into the fabric of our being, and that is at the end of your nose cannot be seen. Practice what I said. Get you a bucket of water and look down in it. And if you see your face, put your hand over it and put your hand down in. And the minute it touched the water, it goes down inside the water, and you no longer identify
You're
two.
no longer two.
They are no longer 2, but 1. Stay in the water.
I like
Stay
that.
in stay in the knowing of the spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
And that's beyond. See them boy that at the end of Carlton Pearson knew not who Carlton Pearson was. He was a John the Baptist and Elias. He was us. He was the Christ.
He was Jesus, yeah.
And you know what?
You know what I think?
I ain't gonna say
I
no more.
think, and if the narrative is true, where Jesus went to the cross and died, I think when he gave up the ghost, that ghost that he is went out of that body, and I think it dispersed itself throughout the universe, and it
don't
it
do
went inside of all of us.
See, this is again and showing the oneness, because I promise you on last night that kept going over and over in my mind. He gave up the ghost. He gave up the ghost. It wasn't taken away. He gave. And so I begin to question. I said, God, can we, separate apart from being sick, on our deathbed, is there a place where we can say, hey, I want to give up the ghost?
And that's what Carlton did.
Exactly.
He died with such dignity. And so I really believe that God, when Jesus died, I think his essence went out and it went into every last one of us. I do believe that with all my heart. And so I think that every last one of us can say, I am Jesus. If we come to that recognition and that realization of who we truly are, apart from these bodies and apart from these minds and thoughts and feelings, we can actually say that.
On a guitar neck, when you want to go up on a note, you go down. When you're going to go down on a note, you go up. Okay? Up is down and down is up.
Yeah, in is out and out is in.
So what happens when we go to heaven? We go in and not out.
Yes. Yes.
Good. That's good.
We gotta stop. We're gonna start another conversation if we don't stop. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Pastor Norman, I love you. Thank you so
The
much.
ego,
y'all.
the ego created the idea that we are human, and the humanity looks at things coming to it instead of looking things coming from inside of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it, right?
That's
You
true.
rest your
I'm
case.
done.
All right, Pastor Norman, we're gonna take off here.
Hey,
Thank you so
pretty
much
good.
again for your insights, and thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this impromptu. You guys will be back next week, Lord willing, if nothing happens. This is good. This was so good, so good. Thank you all for your comments as well. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we're going to take off, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Pastor Norman will be on at 11. Is that right?
Oh no, I'm not on the
No,
broadcast.
You're not on the broadcast on Sunday
right.
yet.
But
Right.
I may tell them to keep looking out because I am making a decision, and so I may come on at 6 o'clock this Sunday evening.
Okay, well, we'll keep in touch with you to make sure. But for sure, we will be on at 10. So you can come and visit us at Cornerstone, unless you want to take a trip down to Monk's Corner.
Yes.
9 o'clock service, Pastor Norman.
406 Sigma Drive. 406 Sigma Drive. Come and fellowship with us.
That would be. Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that.
I'd like to come down there anyway.
Yeah, and be there at a 9 o'clock service with you. That would be one. We're gonna try to make that happen. We're gonna have to make it.
We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
have to make it happen. Yeah, but we love you. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.